It takes a lot to grow your business, everybody. A lot of audience attracting, a lot of lead scoring, and all the channel managing you can manage. Plus a lot of long days, late nights, and weekends. We all know that. A lot wishing there was an easier way. But with Breeze, HubSpot's new collection of AI tools, it's easier than ever for marketers to attract audiences, increase leads, and score customers super fast. Which means pretty soon your company will have a lot to celebrate. So get to celebrating. Visit HubSpot.com/marketers to learn more. Good morning, everybody. Today is Wednesday, February 5th. I'm John Weigell with Rob Litterst, and this is the Hustle Daily Show. We know Nike, Adidas, Puma, Hoka, and others, but another sports retailer is quietly raking in cash. French company Decathlon reported about $16 billion of revenue in 2023, and yet they rarely blow their money on huge ads or sponsorships. So how did this unassuming retailer get to be on top of the sports world? We'll get to all that in a second, but before we do, let's give you the hits and headlines in business and tech. Starting off today, Anthropic, the AI company that's behind chatbot Claude, is asking its job applicants to promise that they won't use an AI assistant when writing their application. Pretty peculiar there, eh, Rob?
This is hilarious because Claude's best task is literally writing. And I think like a job application is exactly where Claude could really shine. I don't know. It's one of those things where like, I think you got to just be able to look beyond the actual application to, see like proof of work for these people. Like, don't worry so much about the application, Claude. Like, if they want to use your AI tools to write it, I think that should be totally fine.
Yeah, and how are they going to know that you won't do it? At the same time, if you show expertise in Claude and get it to write a really, really good application, then maybe you should get the job, right? Because you used it so well.
Exactly.
Up next, Warren Buffett's Berkshire Hathaway is doubling down on the radio. The conglomerate purchased about 2.3 million shares of SiriusXM for around $54 million, giving it a 35% stake in the company. Sirius's shares plummeted 58% in 2024, so Rob, maybe they know something that we don't right here.
Yeah, I'm not going to pretend that I know a ton about the business behind Sirius. I don't know anything about their numbers or anything like that. But I do know that Sirius is where Howard Stern hosts his show. And I do know that they sent an amazing contract to Alex Cooper from Call Her Daddy. And so she's basically, I think, kind of like their insurance policy after Howard Stern retires. I think that move, signing Alex Cooper, was super, super smart. Yeah. I think it keeps them in the conversation. I think if they can continue to do that with more creators and really build kind of like the go-to place for talk radio / podcasts, I think it could be very, very interesting. And I know a ton of people, older people, that still listen to Howard. Oh, yeah. Right. So like if you have that kind of talent, their attention is just unbelievable. Yeah. What do you think about this?
Yeah, I like this investment because they have been trending upward this year so far, even though they crashed 58% last year. They're already up 5% this year comparatively. So not too bad. Might be good to get in on the ground floor of it right now because like Spotify, they're in that category where they are contracting talent. Yeah, fascinating investment. I really didn't see this coming, but now the more I think about it, the more interested I am.
Yeah, I'm curious to see what Sirius does too. I mean, like the thing about Spotify is it's everywhere. Oh, yeah. I always think about Sirius as being kind of like the car radio company, right? I feel like
100%.
Anytime you get a new car, they have like the 3 months of Sirius satellite radio that you can opt into and listen to whatever Eminem station is.
Or the Bob Marley station, whichever.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, next, speaking of driving, we talked a lot about self-driving cars, but self-driving trucks are also making a splash. Volvo has teamed up with Waabi, a start backed up by NVIDIA, Uber, and others to develop autonomous trucks with AI tech. So look out for those coming soon. And into our food category of today, rejoice, all you freaks. McDonald's Shamrock Shake is back in stores February 10th this year. The new spokesperson for the shake is actually Grimace's uncle, Uncle O Grimacy, who has not been seen in McDonald's ad imagery since 1980. They're really bringing out the big guns to get the customers back at McDonald's after unveiling their new McValue meal earlier this year. And finally, at Waffle House, there's some controversy. Waffle House is adding a temporary 50-cent surcharge per egg At its over 2,000 locations in the U.S., due to the ongoing egg shortage, the chain serves 272 million eggs per year, and it's the most ordered menu item, not the waffles, weirdly enough. Hey, everybody. I've been listening to this awesome podcast lately. It's called Nudge, hosted by Phil Agnew. It's brought to you by the HubSpot Podcast Network, the audio destination for business professionals. So have you ever noticed how the smallest changes can have the biggest impact? On Nudge, you learn simple, evidence-based tips to help you kick bad habits, get that raise, and grow a business. Every bite-sized 20-minute show comes packed with practical advice from admired entrepreneurs and behavioral scientists alike. And Nudge is fast-paced, but still insightful with real-world examples that you can actually apply. Oh, and by the way, it's the UK's fastest-growing business podcast. I was listening to an episode recently that Phil, the host, had on Harvard professor Mike Norton, and Mike convinced Phil that he had to handwrite every single one of his emails before sending them to understand what he was really trying to talk about. This process, although it sounds insane, he claims, Phil, that it made his emails 3.5 times better. You got to listen to this podcast. It's a great way to understand how email marketing can help your business. You can listen to Nudge wherever you get your podcasts. Okay, on to the main story today. In contrast to other brands in the space, Decathlon quickly ascended to the top of the sports retail market without flashy ads or sponsorships. So how did they do it? Rob, first, can you give me a little background on Decathlon?
Yeah. So first of all, this topic just made me extremely nostalgic and sad because it brought up one of my favorite places to go when I was younger, which is Sports Authority.
Yeah.
So Decathlon was founded by Michel Leclerc in 1976, and he was partly inspired by Sports Authority, which is now bankrupt, and wanted to bring that idea to Europe. And I think what's really, really cool about this, it's almost like Walmart for sports model. It's like kind of what they're going for. Their whole goal is increasing access to sports. So they offer like $25 hiking boots, $220 bikes. And they've done this for like 50 years. So like they have this history of offering really affordable sportswear and sports products for people that I think has just made it indispensable for like French families raising kids and trying to get them into sports. And if you get in there early, then you're going to end up shopping there for a really long time.
Exactly. And you mentioned Sports Authority. It's like Sports Authority for Europe, this big warehouse of all these fitness and sporting gears. And they carry things that are cheap. They carry things that are expensive, but generally accessible. And I used to love a Sports Authority back in the day too. So I see exactly where you're coming from. And over time, even though Sports Authority tanked, seems like Decathlon has gone in the complete opposite direction, now being one of the most dominant sports brands in the world, and especially in Europe, it looks like.
So Decathlon has built itself just into an absolute giant. They bring pretty much everything in-house, from product research and development to sales to repair and resale. They have over 100,000 employees, so 101,000 employees, and over half of them are shareholders. I love when I hear about these companies that are really, really good to their employees. I think Patagonia is similar here. And you end up with these companies who have people that work there for like 20 or 30 years, which is, it's like unheard of these days to have super, super long tenures like that. But it's super, super cool. I love it when I hear about companies that do that.
Yeah, definitely.
They also have absolutely nailed a few strategies that I think have really helped propel them to the top. First and foremost being their products are affordable, but they're also durable. So they bring cheap products that actually hold up and aren't just going to break on their first use.
Yeah. That seems to be kind of like the holy combination right there that's kept them in business for such a long time because, you know, they've been able to bring everything, as you said, in-house, do everything there. They even have their own production hubs in different places like China and India, so they don't have to pay as much for transportation of the materials and all that. So it seems like they really run a tight ship when it comes to like their durability and stuff like that. But what I'm wondering as well is how they've kind of stayed on top of things for a long time, because maybe a lot of Americans don't necessarily know about them or maybe have recently found out about them. It seems like they're really on top of the trends now.
Totally. Yeah, I think they have done a lot of things that have worked really well in Europe. They've kept their profit margins low, which I think works out really well with their affordable pricing. Like I mentioned earlier, they've brought a lot of things in-house, I think, to kind of like build out their own expertise. they really are willing to trade off style for comfort and quality. They're not trying to offer the most stylish sports clothes or athleisure. They know people are going to go other places for that. So I think that's like just classic knowing yourself and knowing your offering and value prop. And they've also simultaneously invested in both e-commerce and physical stores, which I think is really interesting because I was trying to plot out like, why did Sports Authority go under and where do people get stuff like this in the US now? And I honestly think it's like a combination of Dick's, which I go to Dick's all the time. It's an awesome place to bring your kids if you just need a way to distract them for an hour.
Yeah, right. Go play with the basketballs and stuff like that. Yeah,
exactly. But I would not say that Dick's is affordable pricing wise. I think Dick's really tries to offer like the best that you can find. Right. And so for like the more affordable sports stuff, I think you would probably go to like Walmart or Amazon. Honestly, like I think those two are probably the places that are taking up that market in the US. And that's where, you know, Sports Authority just couldn't really keep up.
Totally. And with a company like Decathlon, that's all sports, like a sports warehouse. And they've, as you said, emphasized e-commerce and physical stores. Seems like a winning combo. And even since the 90s, they've been working on exchanging your secondhand clothes. They've been really into that. They're very eco-friendly. They're trying to do a 40% reduction in greenhouse gas emissions by 2030 and be completely greenhouse efficient by 2050. So yeah, a lot of cool stuff happening at this company, and they've really quietly been doing this for a while. So I'm kind of wondering what the future holds for them. Do you see them really competing against any of these other big companies like Nike and Adidas in the US, or do you think they're kind of going to really harp on the European market?
I don't know. It's a really good question. I don't know if they're looking for kind of like global takeover or if they are looking for more of kind of like the regional dominance that they've made work really well today. They've got some really cool trends going on. They got in on the secondhand trend in the 90s. And so they already understand that and have done really well at kind of like getting people used to that. They have an event series called Decathlon, if that's how you say it, to help customers exchange used equipment. So they're really bought into this kind of like repurposing and sustainability. Their goal is for a 40% reduction in greenhouse gas emissions by 2030. And we mentioned it earlier, you know, they're great with their employees. They have employees that have been shareholders in the company since 1980, and their employees tend to stick there forever. I don't know, you know, Nike a little while back, I think, tried to go more direct to consumer and move away from department stores. But from what I remember, I don't think that worked out very well for them. I think they actually ended up going back to a lot of the brick and mortar stores that were selling Nike before they made the move. So clearly Decathlon has amazing distribution in Europe and in the markets where it's dominant. Like if I were Nike, I would just partner with them and call it a day and not really go after them.
True. I mean, considering that Nike also does really well when it's like a third party in a store.
Yeah.
The Nike stores themselves do pretty well, but you know, there's not exactly that many of them. So if I was them, I would probably do the same thing. But yeah, this is really cool because it's not every day that you hear like a sports company that doesn't really do blow out huge marketing advertisements and also these huge sponsors. Like I don't think I know any athletes that are sponsored by Decathlon at all. And yet they're like a $16 billion revenue earning company. It's nuts.
Right. Yeah, it's crazy.
Yeah. All right. And that's going to do it for us today. Thanks for tuning in to the Hustle Daily Show. We're a proud part of the HubSpot Podcast Network. Our editor is Robert Hartwig, and our executive producer is Darren Clark. We've got a ton more tech and business coverage in our newsletter. If you're not subscribed, go get signed up at thehustle.co/email and follow us on Instagram at The Hustle Daily. We'll see you tomorrow.
New year, new resolutions. And this year on the Best Idea Yet podcast, we're revealing the untold origin stories of the products you're obsessed with. And we promise you have never heard these before.
Ever wonder how the iconic Reese's Peanut Butter Cup was invented? Because it was by accident. H.B. Reese, a former frog salesman,
True story,
stumbled upon the idea after accidentally burning a batch of peanuts.
Classic.
Proving that sometimes our best ideas arise from what seem like our biggest mistakes.
And Jack, did you know there's a scientific explanation why humans crave that surprising combo of peanut butter and chocolate?
I didn't, but it sounds delicious.
It is delicious.
So, if you're looking to get inspired and creative this year, tune in to the Best Idea Yet. You can find us on the Wondery app or wherever you get your podcasts.
And if you're looking for more podcasts to help you start this year off right, check out New Year, New Mindset on the Wondery app. Who knows? Your next great idea could be an accident that you burned. This is Nick.
And this is Jack.
And we'll see you on the Best Idea Yet.